When it comes to making memorials for people who died, a very common practice is using a headstone as a marker where the person is buried. Usually they have the name of the person along with the date of their birth and death. Sometimes there is an epitaph, which is just an inscription that embodies the person who has passed on. Then there are the headstones that are just bizarre, shocking, and downright creepy. Here are 10 unbelievably creepy tombstones and memorials. Number 1. Joseph Lodet Soler. The creepy statue is found in Barcelona Pobleno Cemetery. It is hidden in the back corner of the cemetery, and it is unclear who exactly sculptured it. However, textile manufacturer Joseph Lauder Soler is interred at the site of the statue, and inscription is equally as haunting. The blood in his veins grows cold, and all strength has gone. Faith has been extolled by his fall into the arms of death. Amen. Number 2. Inez Clark. The story goes that Inez Clark was just 6 when she died in 1880. The girl was killed during a storm while on a family picnic and was buried in Graceland Cemetery in Chicago, Illinois. After her death, her parents had a life-size sculpture made in the likeness of their dearly departed daughter. It was put in glass case to protect it from the elements. If the statue of a young girl wearing old-fashioned clothes in a cemetery wasn't frightening enough, there are many ghost stories surrounding the gravesite. People have heard weeping from the area. Other people claim that during thunderstorms the statue disappears, only to reappear later, back in its glass case. It's also interesting to note that it may not even be Inez Clark buried there, as there are no records of a girl dying and being buried in the area. It is believed an 8-year-old boy named Amos Briggs is actually interred at the foot of the statue. Number 3. Fernand Abelot. Fernand Abelot was an actor and musician who lived from 1880 to 1942 in France. He was buried in Père Lachaise Cemetery with a very unusual statue as a marker for his headstone. It is a man holding a disembodied head and staring at it. It is supposed to represent Abelot looking into the face of his wife for all eternity. Number 4. Lily E. Gray. At first glance, the tombstone of 77-year-old Lily E. Gray, who was buried in the Salt Lake City Cemetery in 1958, may just look like any other tombstone. However, there is a stark message written as the epitaph, which is victim of the beast, 666. Gray had died of natural causes, and no one is sure why that is written as an epitaph. One other interesting thing to note is that Gray's husband is also buried in the same cemetery, but far away from his wife's grave. Number 5. The Zakrot Matthias Memorial. While this may look like a grave site that is flooded, it is in fact an underwater memorial to a group of Jesuit missionaries who were traveling from Portugal to Brazil in 1570. A French pirate named Jacques Souris boarded their ship, and then he and his men killed all the priests. Some of the priests even had their limbs cut off and then were thrown overboard. Only the cook on the ship survived the massacre. The memorial was set up near La Palma Island, which is part of the Canary Islands near the area of the massacre. The memorial is 18 meters below the surface and features 40 crosses, one for each of the victims. Number 6. Georges Rodenbach. Born July 6, 1855 and dying December 25, 1898, Georges Rodenbach was a Belgian poet and writer who worked in the symbolism movement, which is probably why his tombstone in Père Lachaise Cemetery in Paris, France, depicts a man breaking out of the grave. While it's meant to symbolize how not even the bonds of death could hold him, however, it is always kind of creepy to see a body trying to break out of a grave. Number 7. Saint Vitalis of Assisi. While not a headstone per se, this is a memorial with an actual head in it. The style apparently belongs to Saint Vitalis of Assisi, who, and we kid you not, is the patron saint of venereal disease. Born in 2095 and dying May 31, 1370, Vitalis was a Benedictine monk who lived most of his life in poverty. After his death, his head was apparently kept as a relic. Since the 17th century, it has been housed in a Queen Anne case. In 2011, the stele was sold in an auction for €35,000, $41,000 USD, to a movie star living in Los Angeles, California. Number 8. The Mafia Cemetery of Yekaterinburg, Russia. In Russia's fourth largest city, Yekaterinburg, there are two cemeteries, one at each side of the city. The cemeteries are filled with the bodies of the city's two rival gangs, one cemetery for each gang. The tombstones are elaborate and over the top, often pictures of the dead man and etched in stone, and the images are larger than life, with some of the tombstones being 10 feet tall. The ghostly images of the young men who died violent deaths haunt the cemetery, which is monitored around the clock by cameras. Number 9. The Child's Bed. It was the late 19th century and the mortality rates of the children were high. One of the creepiest tombstones from that time is found in Mount Auburn Cemetery in Boston. It is there that visitors can find a child-sized bed as a marker for a child who passed away. The tombstone is completely with pillow that fell off the side of the bed, has deteriorated over the century, making it a creepy and heartbreaking memorial for someone who died too young. Number 10. Harry Thornton. In the flu pandemic that ravaged the world in 1918, one of the people who lost their lives was a British man named Harry Thornton, who was a pianist that entertained troops during the First World War. While it may have been a loving tribute to the 35-year-old man, the piano has since decayed and the top of the piano has been lost. It is a haunting image and reminds us that nothing lasts forever. So this is the end of the 10 unbelievably creepy tombstones and memorials, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment.